Hi Adventure Queens, super excited to join you on this skill share. So I'm Clare Osborne. I run a platform called Clare Talks Rubbish, and really I want to share my expertise and knowledge about doing a paddle cleanup. And that also maps across completely to doing any kind of cleanup. So if you're plugging or beach cleaning or whatever. So I've been involved with cleanups locally here in Brighton, and paddle cleanups and plastics plastics pollution solutions, kind of outreach projects for about 5 years or so. So I've paddled the width of Britain, length of Wales and remote Scottish islands with Evoke Adventure and the amazing adventurer Erin Bastian, who led these expeditions, and I basically did the conservation elements, which included finding solutions to the plastic that we found to make sure that it didn't all end up in landfill. So I can talk about the equipment that you need to do a cleanup, the safety aspects of doing a cleanup, which are even more important right now, and there are some extra concerns that you need to think about due to COVID and contamination. Really being extra careful about not sharing equipment, and wearing gloves and things like that. I can give you some advice about what to do with stuff that you find, but also for me it's way beyond the cleanup. It's more as well about understanding that by taking action and doing something, by giving back to Mother Nature, it really helps us as human beings. There's lots of science to back that up now, both on a volunteering way and on a kind of spending time in on a near waterway. So a lot of it is about connecting with the natural world, so that we fall in love with the natural world and want to protect it, which obviously most of you as adventurers are already doing that, but then also kind of becoming ambassadors for our natural spaces, and for me water spaces, in order to encourage others to love it. And for me ocean issues are not just a kind of ocean issue, because every second breath we take, the oxygen is provided by our world's ocean, and there is more and more scientific research coming in to show that spending time in on and near water helps us. So it's really, really important for us to protect these natural wild spaces and to understand them. So by doing cleanups, really you're helping your planet and your well-being, and also your community, because it's a great way of connecting with people normally, and now hopefully again we can meet up with more people, and also with the issues you've probably seen on the news over the last few days about Bournemouth and Brighton and people flocking to the beaches. There's a lot more to be done and understood, and I'm here in Brighton, so actually have been talking with the Surfers Against Sewage reps here about what our plans here in this city to try and tackle the problems that we've been facing and seeing on the news, with the crowds and with the rubbish left behind, and that for me is really kind of the other aspect of doing a paddle cleanup, or any kind of cleanup. It's about sharing what you find, tagging the companies that are involved, also writing to your MPs, and really trying to empower your family, your household, your community, to change their habits in order to move away from linear use, dispose, into a much more circular economy system, so that we are so that we have the end of use in mind when we're designing products, and we're doing more of a refuse and reuse culture rather than just throw away. Globally we only recycle 15% of the plastics that we produce, and only 5% of that is then turned into kind of like for like quality of products rather than being downcycled. So it's a really small percentage. So yeah, so I worked with British Canoeing and put together a toolkit, paddle cleanup toolkit, which is available on my website and the British Canoeing website, which has in all of the information that you really know to do a paddle cleanup, including risk assessments and games that you can play to make it fun, like cleanup bingo, and competitions and stuff that you can do to engage clubs or families or whatever in order to understand how plastic gets into the environment, what to do with it, etc. Sadly, it's not been promoted that well by British Canoeing, so it's great to be here talking to you Adventure Queens, to hopefully get more people to engage with the toolkit and share it, please, because a lot of work went into it, and there's stuff in there to help you with your daily habits as well. So there's like a plastics diary that you can use in order to track your own plastic consumption, and we have Plastic Free July coming up. When am I talking to you? Monday, so yeah, next week, so in a few days. So if anyone has any questions about what they can do on that front as well, then please do get in touch. Then please do ask those questions. So yeah, so there's lots of things I can talk about. So how to do a paddle cleanup, the health and well-being benefits of being in on, near and around water. I bring that into the coaching that I do. Who's doing, yeah, and yeah, also just to say as well, I took up paddle sports only 3 years ago, so I've always deemed myself as someone that's not sporty. I avoided sports day like the plague. Swimming was only swimming and scuba diving are the only kind of things that I've sport-wise kind of done until about 3 years ago, when I took up kayaking, and I've now done those expeditions. So I'd never been in a sea kayak until day one of the first expedition. I've now been out to Arctic Norway and paddled there and done and joined my local club as well. So I can talk about how to kind of like getting involved and starting kayaking, and I bought myself a paddleboard when so about 4 years ago my mum was taken very seriously ill, and that was really the beginning of my paddle journey. I've always been a water person, but I bought myself a paddleboard to make myself feel better, which now that I understand a lot more about the well-being benefits of spending time around water makes total sense, but at the time it was just a whim. So if I, as a ex-lawyer, non-sporty person, can take up kayaking and then do the trips that I've done and make the impact that I have in my late 30s, early 40s, then really anyone can. And this is again something really important that I learned, because I've always grown up with the beliefs that I'm not confident, not sporty, not able to do things, and kind of after my mum was really ill, it put everything in perspective to me, and I left a relationship I wasn't happy with, I left a career that I wasn't happy with, and became a coach and started doing things that were more in line with my values and more fulfilling, and now really understand the kind of understand the impact and benefits of giving back to Mother Nature, of connecting with the natural world, and how the people that who I previously kind of put on a pedestal aren't different to me. They just kind of had the right mindset, and again kind of understanding that people who I looked up to didn't have like a internal special superpower, that we're all just the same. Anyone can achieve anything, and there's a great Margaret Mead quote which I wish I could remember off the top of my head, but the gist of it is that the only people that have ever really made big differences are ordinary individual people. I wish I'd looked up that quote before I went down that line. But anyway, the gist is like, you know, it's that whole idea of a ripple effect, and I really do believe that the impacts of everyday heroes makes a difference, and if we all do small things towards making a difference, then we can make a huge tidal wave of change. And I went from believing that I was unfit, unsporty, and also not from an environmental background whatsoever. My dad worked for an oil company, so I'm not a typical environmentalist either. So if I can do things that inspire other people to change their plastic habits and take up something new late in life, and do something to make a difference, if I can do it, then anyone can, really. And I found my confidence through doing things like that as well. So I can talk about all of that stuff too. So yeah, join me on Monday? I can't remember now. Yes, Monday for skills swaps with me, Clare Osborne. Clare Talks Rubbish, and I will be talking about how to do a paddle cleanup and the well-being benefits of being in, on and near water.